Tuesday edition of Frontier Opening Bell. Thank you for joining us on the show. I'm Temple Ashaju. Welcome to the program. Hossein Omofaye, Executive Editor at Frontier Africa Reports, is right here on the show with us this morning. Hossein, thank you for coming in. Let's look at the indexes we track. Yesterday, the Nigerian Stock Exchange opened on a low scale, 0.08% on Monday. BRVM Stock Exchange down 0.69%, opened the week negative as well. The Egyptian Stock Exchange was positive by more than 1% yesterday. Kenya, the Nairobi Stock Exchange, jumped by 0.19% on Monday, while the South African markets representing the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, or being represented rather by the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, opened with a slow start to the week, 0.15% on Monday. Looking now at the Eastern African headlines, we've got Coca-Cola naming Deborah Malowa as the new vice president for East and Central Africa. She comes from Safaricom, actually. Kenya's foreign remittances climbed like some 7.93% in January 2021 compared to what we had in January 2020. Rolls-Royce and Ugandan Airlines now signed Total Care deal. Kenya Airways resumes cargo flights to New Delhi in India, while Ethiopia secures $200 million from World Bank as a loan to raise up its digital economy. Person, let's get your thoughts on these headlines. How significant are they, and how are you looking to trade them?
Well, if you allow me to start from the stock market, which was mixed, which you showed a bit earlier, you see the global markets are not in a very pretty good shape right now, based on some of the shift in investor sentiments and trader sentiments around inflation, economic growth. We've seen a whole lot of push into metals market, by the way, because of the encouraging economic data, like yesterday, the German IFO, which is the business confidence, showing much stronger reading than expected. I think a little above 52. In estimate was about 50. So that's good. Then you find the UK as well, coming into the news as well with some economic data, even this morning in terms of industrial production. So market actually softens generally across the equity space. So we can give that to Frontier African markets yesterday with that softening. Again, investors piling into oil. The Brent crude now just above $66 a barrel. Metals very hot. Copper is very, very hot as well. But speaking specifically to East Africa, good news about remittances for Kenyans. I'm sure Kenya has one of the highest destination in terms of Kenyans in diaspora sending money back in. I think that is good. I say kudos to them. Ethiopia getting $200 million World Bank funding for fintech. Look, everybody's trying to position for this Etutel privatization of the telecommunications sector in Kenya, and what it will be like a boom that we had with the GSM revolution in Nigeria, which we had then. Now, if these countries get their bearings right, unlike Nigeria with electricity, power, and a few other issues, we might just see some of these countries come from behind and overtake Nigeria, despite the fact that we have population. But don't forget, Ethiopia has about 100+ population as well, and that's still climbing. So Nigeria needs to watch this very important space very well in terms of Ethiopia, what it represents. If they get a whole number of things right, you just be surprised those folks how they will go. Coca-Cola, a new vice president. That's good news, by the way. To bring this woman on board as a vice president for East and Central Africa. They are also increasing their foothold in that region. The market is a little bit stable. They'll be looking at the new AfCFTA. If they can come in there in East Africa and do a bit more investment, get a whole lot more on the ground, corner the whole East and Central Africa, that will be a big chunk of a market for them. And that is something also to watch.
Thank you very much, Bosin. I mean, one of the key trends that we're seeing around the diaspora remittances or foreign remittances is the fact that Africans and diaspora have been able to take out of the stimulus funds given to them in the West, Europe, America, and UK, and send back home. I think that is something that has really been pushing on the level of foreign remittances in recent times across Africa. I just thought I should add that because, I mean, I was able to hear that directly from a couple of people in recent times. Let's touch on the Western African headlines here, where regarding AfCFTA now, Afreximbank and of course WAMI payment platform is to be ready in March. The European Union is to invest on $1.2 billion or 1 billion euro in 6 years in Ivory Coast cocoa sector. Cocoa board in Ghana is paying $190 million debt owed to licensed buying companies as well as farmers. Air Cote d'Ivoire receives first Airbus A320 new as revenues jumps by 2% in 2020. Looking at the calendar year for 2020. Both on, I'll come back to you with those headlines there. What's your editorial judgment?
My point across these few frontiers is that speaking first of what is very dear to my mind, to my heart, and that was with agricultural production in terms of cocoa in Ivory Coast and Ghana. So I like playing up these issues because it all goes into agro-industrialization, getting the best of our commodities on the African continent. So please pardon my bias if I seem first bias about that. The Ghanaians, the Ghana Commodity Exchange as now is including cocoa as one of the products on its trading platform, which is good. Now you find the European Union, of course, when you hear European Union put $1.2 billion in Ivory Coast cocoa project, you know the big brother is the Elysee Palace in France. So you understand that the whole fight is there between Ghana and Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is the leader, by the way, but the Ghanaians are not giving up. And I love that spirit with which they are competing healthily to retain the cocoa industry. More of beneficiation will help us in Africa, more of the grounding of the products, more of a bit getting it into paste and all of that, and see if we can get them to final chocolate. I want to eat chocolate made in Ghana, made in Nigeria, made in Ivory Coast, rather than the one made in Geneva, Switzerland. And that should just be good to create more jobs, more exports, more FX earnings, even within Africa. The same way I would like to drink the Ugandan coffee or Limuru tea in Kenya. I love it here, or from Tanzania. So that's really good news, by the way. Air Cote d'Ivoire is not giving up. They have this direct route with Europe and France, by the way. Getting a new one Airbus means that they're looking at how they will continue to do business. Look at the Kenya Airways as well, resuming cargo flights, operations into New Delhi, India, which you touched on earlier on the East Africa story. Yes, so everyone is positioning, by the way. So I think this is good business. As soon as we can, when we're fortunate with the COVID-19 infestations in Africa, we're not seeing high mortality rate right now. So that is one good news, and I think the economic managers will do well to just quickly ramp up on that very quickly and not wait behind for the rest of the world to take over.
Right, it's good to know all of this. Thanks a great deal, boss. And let's touch on the Southern African markets where the SARB issued some approval or result blessings to banks to now go ahead and pay dividends and possibly executive bonuses. Anglo Gold Ashanti posts full-year dividend 5 times higher to payouts more than 7 rands per share in dividends, of course, to investors. Sasol cuts debts by 63.4 billion rands. And Anglo AM Platinum EBITDA is 39% higher, and final dividend 5 rands plus each ordinary share. The Bears raises diamond prices about 4%, third time on recovery. What are your thoughts on this, Bosin? How tradable are they this morning?
Well, these are big corporate news. Again, most of this coming from South Africa, the king of what you call mining resources within the African continent, and you can't take it away from South Africa. The Bears doing business in South Africa. They're also in Botswana. They're in a bit of African countries. Again, the whole essence of diamonds, to start from the Bears, was that the diamond prices are beginning to climb. Folks are beginning to shop online. Unlike the early part of last year, first half of last year, when prices of diamonds almost collapsed because the first wave of the virus hit everyone and everybody just sealed up their pulse. Everybody were looking for drugs, or at least for vaccine against the coronavirus. So nobody was interested, as it were. But as we begin to see towards the end of last year, folks begin to make some adjustments into the new year, and we see diamond prices coming up. So it looks like it's going to be a better year for De Beers and some of his colleagues within the diamond space, including Botswana Diamond and a few others. And Anglo American Platinum, again, Platinum has been roaring across the $2,000 just about a week ago, still holding around that price level as we speak. This morning is still very strong. And when you look at this EBITDA, about nearly 40%, it's all about forward-looking guidance from this big company, Anglo American Platinum, one of the biggest miners in the world. Same story for a few others. If you look at Sasol, let me touch on Sasol very quickly. The whole idea is to say, look, we're not asking the shareholders, existing shareholders, for rights issue or for fresh money. We've been able to balance the books. I think it's a very nice way. I think they managed to sell off a bit of the joint venture they had with an American company, as it were. They brought in some free cash onto the table, and now they're able to tell the shareholders, so we're not doing a rights issue. We can hold things from here right now. I think that's one good news from Sasol, which is the South African energy company.
You think the SARB story is a bit of another form of stimulus to the investors in that region or something?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, exactly. You see, the whole idea about not paying dividend hit everyone last year, South Africa, I think Kenya as well, that there'll be no dividend payment. But now it looks like it's soft landing and say, well, look, you can pay dividend, but make sure that does not impair your asset. There's no asset impairment if you're going to pay dividend. And of course, the two things, assets and capital. So your capital base must not be impaired by dividend payment, and your asset must not be impaired. I think every regulator, banking regulator, keep an eye on those two things, capital base and your asset structure. They don't want any problem in the industry, so you can go ahead and pay. So this is a bit of opening the back door a little bit and say, well, you guys can get some fresh air. Investors will love it. I'm sure shareholders of the banks in South Africa will look forward to some measure of dividend to be paid for, to compensate for the whole nasty virus thing, lockdown, whatever, in South Africa, which is one of the hottest spots on the continent for the virus so far.
And perhaps because now we've been able to find at least some vaccines that at least matches the COVID-19 variants in South Africa. That gives some kind of
just put something in the mouth of the investors or the shareholders. They'll be happy. Everybody's had a whole lot of lockdown, scared or what have you. So a little money in the paycheck, in the mailbox or whatever in your account, just a little alert won't be a bad idea.
And perhaps that will bring back some level of confidence to the investment space in South Africa again. Because as you recall, Bosun, the mining guy yesterday said that the fact that they are investing across some mining projects across South Africa does not reflect any form of confidence. But this should be able to bring back a bit of confidence, at least into the financial space in South Africa. Thanks a great deal, Bosun. Now let's wrap up with the last part of the show. And of course, that's on the Northern African space, where the financial the FRA in Egypt, that's the Financial Regulatory Authority, sets max limits for under 21 years old to trade on the Egyptian Stock Exchange. Suez Canal Bank, profit rises by 11%. Algeria reappoints Mohamed Akab as the HM Oil, Majis Mining, as well as Energy. Sudan devalues currency, sets exchange rates to 375 pounds per dollar, and of course that is to be able to help them access the debt relief package from some of the multilateral agencies. Atijari Global keeps buy recommendation on Marak Telecom. Bosun, your thoughts on all of these as well?
Tempo, I'll just touch on two, by the way. The most important was the one in Egypt for the not too young to trade. I think that's something that we can copy. We can just look at our own environment in Nigeria and see if we can get to do the same thing. Because of course, look, the Egyptian guys just keep innovating on a day-by-day basis. 10,000 Egyptian pounds local currency. If you're 16 to 20, you can trade. Now, what are they looking at? Get more of these young people into the market. Maybe this is one of the ways to say, look, don't throw your money away, maybe into Bitcoin, maybe into cryptocurrency, look, whatever. Don't go into the Ponzi schemes. Let's allow them to come into the marketplace here. You see, this is a very clever way of doing it. For example, look, Temple, obedience is a two-way. See, there are do's and don'ts. You can't tell folks not to do, you must show them what to do. So if you say don't do, then what am I going to do? Then nature abhors vacuum. So if you're trying to tell young people about, oh, there's so much danger in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, you can lose all your money, show them, incentivize them to invest in the real market, that you have regulations and everything around that exists. You can't just tell them to do nothing. So I think for the Central Bank of Nigeria, saying this on one hand, the SEC in Nigeria and the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the NASD, should be showing them and giving incentives to young Nigerians how to trade and to make legitimate money, and they can see the risks and they can manage it. Show them what to call risk management. I think that's how the Egyptians are getting smarter than the rest of us down here in the western part of the continent, Frontier Africa. If you're between 16 and 20, bring money, you can take up to, folks will jump at it. If you're working together with, like if you have in Kenya, with Safaricom or with MTN or Airtel or Flow Nigeria, you'll be surprised how young Nigerians will jump at something of this nature. And I think it's very innovative, and I give kudos to the Egyptians. The second story has to do with Sudan. Sudan, with about 380% inflation, the economy is just seriously below the Nile River, by the way. So they just have to do something to get back on track. They fought so many years, their southern neighbor, which eventually broke away, which is now a South Sudan. The issue of crude oil has become a bit unpleasant to them. It's neither here nor there. The currency has been in the water. So right now they just have to bite the bullet. I guess they're looking at their northern neighbor, the big brother, which is Egypt, not too far from there. And maybe they're trying to walk away from the whole Omar Bashir administration and what have you, and set a new direction and a new horizon for Sudan. And we just hope that they'll be able to get it with the Al-Shabaab still there and what have you. Maybe some measure of monetary policy and fiscal policies will help. But David Malpass, the World Bank president, says that was a good move yesterday, gave Khartoum a thumbs up. I think they should also walk their stock exchange to be up and running, by the way. They have a small stock exchange there called the Khartoum Stock Exchange, the KSC. I think they should also revitalize that as well and get it up and running. We need a whole lot more of that happening.
Possibly part of some of the strategies that will come on board once they're able to harmonize the official exchange rates and the parallel markets rates, which is something that this whole devaluation is actually geared towards. Thanks a great deal, Bosun Omofaye, Executive Editor at Frontier Africa Reports, for serving us the breakfast this morning. You are the only bartender we had this morning. I appreciate it. Thanks a great deal. This has been Frontier Opening Close for today, the Tuesday edition for the 23rd of February 2021. I beg your pardon. I'm Temple Ashadu. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.